What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I am your host, Mike Sjogren, here as always with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. What's up, E?
My brother, it's so good to see you. I have been, man, I can't believe it's June. Like it's time is flying. Um, my European trips are still super up in the air due to just my personal life. But the silver lining in that is that I most likely will be able to come and see you in July when you're in Orlando. And after almost 10 years, finally get to meet your babies. I mean, in Cora's defense, she just got here, but Caden, Caden's been around, and I still haven't had a chance to meet him. But life has been good, man. What about you?
Things are good, man. We had some close friends over the house yesterday that had moved down to Florida a couple of years ago. So we got them and the kids together and just had an awesome Wednesday, man. To me, that's what the financial freedom was all about. Pulled Caden out of school for the day. I'm sure some
Yeah,
parents are going to hate on that, but whatever. Our call. Like, pulled him out
I
of school
mean,
for
it's
the day,
also
did a
it's also
barbecue.
June. Like, come on. Like,
Dude,
why are they still in school?
it was just like I was just so grateful though, because this is somebody that I've been friends with for a long time, and we used to share our goals with each other going back like 10 years. And he was like, "Man, look at what you've built." Like I remember those goal sheets that you'd send me when I still had a job. And it was just like so eye-opening and super grateful for the day yesterday. It was just an awesome day.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? That kind of leads into perfectly with our show, talking about people that we used to share our goals with. We have our good buddy Ian on the show today, and me, Ian, Mike, and then a gentleman by the name of Chris Crawford, Nicholas Poon, and then Ariel, which was the only lady in our pod. But we used to be accountability partners 10 years ago now, almost. I mean, it was like 20, like, maybe 2015, 2016, so maybe like 8 years ago. But it has been incredible. And that's one of the things that we talk about on the show. It's just been so incredible to watch everybody grow in their own individual ways, and also really witnessing the seasons of life, right? So we have all gone through different seasons. We all have seen each other have these massive goals, achieve them, and then realize, okay, wait, maybe that wasn't all that, and recalibrating for what's important. And I think that's one of the big things that we talk about with Ian on the show. It's really the importance of calibrating life for the stuff that matters.
Yeah. And again, you'll hear his story in a second, but this is somebody that figured out the financial piece fairly early. He was making really good money, but he didn't have any balance. He was always prioritizing work. Just wasn't being a good dad or a good husband, honestly, until he had some tough conversations with his wife and just reevaluated everything and rebuilt his businesses, rebuilt his portfolios around his family and what they wanted to create. And so for the listeners out there that are in that building phase or maybe reevaluating phase of, okay, we've built this thing or we're building this thing, what does it look like to do this intentionally, to actually live the life that we want? And what does creating that, air quotes balance look like to have quality family time while making the income we want, while building businesses and portfolios? What does that actually look like? And I feel like Ian's done a very good job of that. And he's very intentional with his time. And he's got a couple nuggets. One of them you'll have to wait around to the end that I asked him about, as far as where he set his office up, which was very interesting. So
It's
without
fascinating.
further ado, let's get into the show with Mr. Ian Lobos. What's going on, STR Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Mike Sjogren, here as always with my main man and brother from another mother, Mr. Emmanuel Pani. And today we have a very special guest with us, a good friend of ours, an old friend of ours now. I think we're going on 10 years strong, the three of us here. We've got Mr. Ian Lobos with us, who's been, we were joking offline. I feel like you've lived like 20 lives inside of entrepreneurship and real estate. And so I'm excited to dive into your journey and also really hit home on, how you've been hyper intentional with your time and, building businesses, but also being a great dad and a great husband. And that's one thing I've always admired about you is how hyper intentional you are with that. And even in the room that you're at right now, we were talking offline and I won't spoil it, but we'll get into that of like can I squeeze an extra 10 minutes in for like what matters, right? So I think that's super cool. But for the listeners that don't know you, give us your background, man. Let's hear this journey that you've been on.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it has been a long time. What's interesting is I remember E was short hair and just a real estate investor, and all of us kind of wandering around trying to find our thing. And you just in the button down, tucked in shirt with your CPA badge hanging on the rearview mirror, and you and I driving up to Montreal to meet with E, and just you and I talking so deeply about the life that we know we're meant to live and how fear just holds us back so much. How can we just take the chance and know that it's going to be okay? And so we can get into that today. I mean, dude, I've had a lot of lives, man. I'm just a serial risk taker, and failure hurts. I just don't let it keep me down. And so I ran my family shipping company for 7 years out of college, grew that, got caught in the economic downturn of 2008, and didn't know what we didn't know, so we really didn't prep or plan for it. Then I got into real estate sales, for the money. Like, it was, let's face it, at that point, my ego and my value to the world was as a provider, and that's what I thought. And I thought the more I can provide, the better I'll feel about myself, and the more the world will respect me and love me. And so one thing I realized was that as I tried to tame my ADHD mind, which I know a lot of the listeners are going to associate with, I knew I needed systems and processes, and I knew I needed to develop habits that would build discipline, because I don't think discipline is an automatic thing and it's not a natural thing. I think over time with consistency, like, you'll build discipline. I think commitment is what you have at first, and then discipline comes in. So I just stayed really disciplined to building systems and processes. And what I thought and what I figured out and what I started to love was teaching other people about my systems and processes. So I started my coaching business back in 2014, coaching real estate agents on how to build a multi 6-figure or 7-figure business without trading a ton of time. And so, fast forward, I started to really not love the real estate sales business because it was so misaligned for me. It was just the money kind of keeping me there. And then, really started embracing coaching, really got into personal growth and development in 2015, when my daughter was born, and just set out to become an absolute expert and just a master practitioner in all things human evolution and growth. So my main business is that. The Irreplaceable Leader is personal growth and development, identity evolution, ending self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, mindset, that kind of thing, really helping people get out of their way. The other side of the business is fractional CEO, COO stuff, where I love to live in that system process world and operations. And I combine the two because, as we know, your business, your bank account, your relationships, your body, it all grows to the extent that you do. And if you want a sustainable growth, then you got to grow you, because most of us are acting as the replaceable version of us, the armored up, protected, safe, certain version of us. And the problem is that there's misalignment and friction happens. And we get angry, or we escape it with drugs and alcohol and porn and all the other stuff, money. And then we get to 50, 60, 70 years old and we realize that we've lived our life as somebody completely not us. And now we've got to find ourselves. And it's too late at that point for a lot of things. And I just didn't want to do that.
It's funny you bring that up. I just did a coaching call with one of our boardroom members, and we are talking about how they just hired a COO for their business, and they're really trying to tighten up process, and they're running a million miles an hour and all this stuff. And what I said to him, I said, I want you to be mindful of something, because they apparently hired some A-player COO with a lot of experience, a lot of leadership experience. And I'm like, that's amazing. However, are you at a leadership level that's going to lead that person? Because if they're at a higher leadership level than you're going to be in trouble, man. Like, you have to keep leveling up. There's no such thing as just this magic hire. You have to still be the leader in your business. And if you're not, they're going to leave because they want to be around other A players. And it's a good thing because it stretches you to be better and improve.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the challenge, though. That discomfort that most people feel in the personal growth world is they'll do the uncomfortable that's comfortable. They'll go to the seminar or the weekend retreat, or they'll read the book, or they'll read a ton of books and be an info addict. Yet the actual application of that knowledge is usually few and far between. And the problem with that is you talk a big game, but the results don't show, right? So this is a formula. Everything in my world, in my business world, as a COO and CEO for hire, and in my personal growth world. And one of the really unique things we did with our personal development business and the way we can get like really effective coaching and results for people very quickly and sustainably is that I created formulas for everything and metrics for everything in the inner growth, like the internal world, which is rare, very rare, if at all, there in the personal development world. And so it's black and white, like there's no gray. Like it's either you did this or you didn't do this. You made a move that served you or you didn't make a move that served you. So if we cut out all that noise, you actually start to feel your real feelings. You actually start to know who you are really quickly. The challenge with that is you're gonna have to cut stuff out, right? Elimination is way better than acquisition when it comes to personal growth. And when you're cutting stuff out, you might have to cut out relationships and habits and skills and mindsets and behaviors that just do not serve the trajectory or the path that you're on to the goal that you know is possible. And if you don't cut those, that's dead weight you're dragging along, and you will not become the person that can actually hit that goal. You'll hustle and grind it out, and you'll sacrifice all these other things like relationships or your body. But if you can figure out how to balance that, then when you hit that goal, you'll actually feel true fulfillment and not like the goalpost just moved because you grabbed the check. Like it used to be for me, like check day was sweet. We made 50,000 this week. Or we made 100,000 this month or made 200,000 this month. But then I was back to depressed and back to grind it out. Meanwhile, my relationship with my wife, myself, my daughter, my friends, it was all suffering. But I looked really good on Facebook and Instagram, and my bank account looked really amazing. I was miserable. And so the day that I said, you know what, I matter and I need to start living for me and making myself a priority, that's the day that it all changed for me. And that's, I feel like, the day that people need to come to and make that determination that they're going to do. Like I saw this thing from you this morning, actually. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to get it accomplished? And I don't know many people that take that route with personal growth and development. And if you can commit to that and be willing to do whatever it takes, move mountains to become the real irreplaceable version of you, literally anything's possible, not just in achievements, but like the way you feel inside about yourself is completely different than the way you feel today. And it's freaking amazing.
It really is. And if you're cool, I wanna run back in time to that point that you were talking about, because I remember having these conversations when you were making bank, doing really well financially with the real estate sales, and you were doing some flips and some commercial stuff here and there, but you were miserable. And
Yeah.
I feel like there was a story and a moment, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, with you and Mare about like, he basically came to you and you guys had a very frank discussion. You cool sharing that? Because then I feel like it just puts you on this path to really reevaluate things.
Of course. This is the story that I share in my keynotes as a major turning point in my life. So the story, or like the example that you're talking about, was when I was running hard, man, like real hard. And again, I was running that hard because the only thing that I thought made me matter was being successful and being powerful and having all this money and the ability to escape whenever I wanted. And so my wife came to me and said, I'm done. I'm out. There was a different look on her face that day and a different energy in the room. My daughter was like maybe 6 months old, and she was just playing in her high chair. I clearly wasn't paying attention to her because that didn't get me any accolade. That didn't get me an approval. Being a great dad wasn't going to make me matter in the world. And she said, are you really the measure of a man or the model of a man that you want your daughter to attract in her life one day? And dude, that broke me. Like I was so masculine and egoed out and narcissistic at the time. And she got to my heart. She got to my core because Mare was the number one person I trusted because I didn't trust myself. I mean, unless it was like chasing deals and closing deals, I didn't trust me. And so I was prepared to let them go to stay in the path or on the path that made me feel safe, that made me feel accepted. and approved of and appreciated. And then a very good friend of mine said, "Do you know what it's like to be replaced?" Actually, you guys know him. So it was our mentor at the time. And I said, "No." And he goes, "Let me just paint a little picture for you. So you're gonna walk up to this house that you're most likely paying for because that was your agreement. You're divorced, by the way. And you're gonna walk by some cool ass cars that you are most likely paying for again because your agreement. And you're gonna walk up to the house, knock on the door, and some dude's gonna answer the door, and you're gonna say hi to him, and he's gonna go get your kids, and they're gonna say bye to him and hi to you. And as you're walking down the stairs and you're walking to the car, you will realize how much you regret your decisions because you didn't do something about it. You didn't even put in the effort. And now your children and your ex-wife are suffering, maybe emotionally and mentally, because you didn't make a commitment to yourself that would make you into the irreplaceable husband and father that they deserved. And really the irreplaceable man that the world needed from you for your gifts to be fully realized. And he said, and then when you get your kids buckled in and you're making that very short but very long journey back to the driver's side, and you're about to open the car door to take them, for a weekend getaway or something because you're the cool dad, because that's all you can be, because you only get 2 days, a month or something, or a week. Like, you're going to face depression, regret, resentment, and anger like you've never experienced before. And if you want that, keep going down the path you're going down. But as an introspective guy, you're going to overthink that, and your life is going to be over at that point. You might be like 40, you might be 50, but your life's going to be over. And all you're going to do is chase. You're going to chase for the rest of your life. Your legacy is going to be completely tarnished. Your relationship with your kids, you're going to further that into the next generation. Make a decision on what you want to do. And so I made a decision to become the best version of me. And I realized that my purpose was to help other people get out of their own way, be the best version of them, and live to their max potential too. So it worked out really well because I was able to create a great business out of it. But it was a really painful time because I was angry. I was miserable. Like you said, just freaking miserable.
The good thing though, and my story, and most of the listeners know my story as well. Like when my son was born, those painful moments are brutal in the moment, but they tend to create the most massive change instantly, because it just wakes you up to, what am I doing with my life? Right? I need to course correct here. And I think it's a blessing and it's a curse for people that don't have that experience, because they end up coasting through life and then realizing that they're just chasing comfort instead of chasing growth and purpose. And so for you, like you've really zoned in on the coaching, personal development, and then you've used real estate to continue to build up, that passive income and that wealth. Plus I know you, like you just like business and doing deals. And it didn't mean that you had
Yeah.
to stop doing that. It just had to have that awakening of like, this is just one piece of the big puzzle.
Yeah. It needed a pivot. I tried to escape from real estate. I tried to hate real estate. I tried to make real estate the scapegoat and blame real estate for all my problems. My clients are this, and my business is this, and my employees, whatever. And it was me. Like you talked about on that reel. The moment that you can say, all my problems, all the challenges in my life are mine. They're me. I caused them. I create them. I stop them from being solved. And the moment you can own that, and again, go back to, and this is what I want, right? See, the other side of the canyon, there's 1,000-foot, crevasse between you, but you're committed to doing whatever it takes to build the bridge to get to the other side. Either that, or you're going to be angry because you know what's possible. You know that the other side is there. You know you can do it. You know you're capable of it, that you just don't know how to get there. And then you're just going to be angry at people or the world because the world didn't make it easy enough, or your childhood was really tough. We've all heard those stories. You sat on stage with those dudes at your events. Damon John's perfect example. His childhood was a freaking nightmare. And look at him, because he determined that he had a vision that was not going to be skewed by anything. And he built the skills and habits and behaviors and action items and discipline around doing whatever it takes to get there. That's it. Super simple.
I wanna hear a little bit more on the real estate, but one thing I wanted to bring up first, because you have done a lot of coaching,
Yeah.
and you and E both helped me with this, right? Because a lot of the listeners, like me, were in some type of corporate job or a sales job, and they want to get out, but it just feels impossible. It's like, how can I possibly get to that point, and it feels like a pipe dream of becoming like financially independent or building a business and leaving the 9 to 5 grind. What are some tips and some pointers for those folks that are just like, I want this, I just don't think I can do it, and it just feels impossible?
Well, number one, you got to believe that you are capable, right? So you got to have not only the clarity, it's 3 C's, the clarity and understanding of where you're going and why, the confidence that you are able to do it, or the confidence to go out and find someone that can help you get there. And then the 3rd C is the courage to execute on that vision relentlessly, right? Without fail, regardless of what comes, regardless of what fail points happen or knockdowns happen. The other thing is, and this is me as a high level risk taker, but if you got a plan B, if you got a cush job, the odds are you are not going to get out of that job anytime soon. You can side hustle all day long. And again, this is my opinion. You can side hustle all day long. You can say that you're building your portfolio to get out of your job one day, but we both know that you are now building a habit of having a job and you have a portfolio. So the likelihood that you're going to shift that mindset one day when your portfolio hits a certain amount of passive is highly unlikely, or you're going to quit and you're going to run back, which is what most people do. In my opinion, you got to come up with a very clear plan to execute on, and you got to just take the leap, because as a forcing function, there is no better forcing function than to have to provide for a family or for yourself or to make it work. And if you don't do that, you're just delaying. So in my opinion, you work that job for a year, you work your side hustle, do your thing for the year, you make whatever necessary sacrifices with your cash flow and with your savings that you have to build yourself that runway. Now you build yourself a 6-month or a year runway, quit that job the next year, and you go for it. The problem is that most people don't believe in themselves enough, and they have no reliability trust in themselves as an entrepreneur to actually take that leap and believe that they are the ones that can execute and accomplish. And that's what I see in my coaching business. And that's what I help people through is sometimes you need guidance and accountability. Even as a high level leader, you need guidance and accountability and someone to stand on your shoulder or hold your hand or put their arm around you or kick you in the butt and say, no, you keep going. You got this. Keep going. Keep pushing forward. I know it sucks. I know it hurts. So you can't take that vacation this year, but just think about what it'll be like when you get completely free of this. And I think the caveat is this: during that year, let's just say the time period that you commit to is a year. During that year, you must commit to personal growth, because you must become the person that can actually be the entrepreneur. You can't just build the bank account that supports the entrepreneur. You got to become the mindset, habits, skills, behavior, attitude, beliefs, language, environment. You got to become the person that can get those goals accomplished, or it won't be sustainable.
100% changing your identity.
Yeah. By the way, so Mike, you recommend a lot of books. Like, even though for the audience, even though Mike's a great friend of mine, I'm still following Mike and watching his journey. I told you when we saw each other in October or November, like, I'm so proud to be a part of your life and like your inner circle life and watch you build what you've built for yourself, like who you are and the business you've built. And not only that, I think the most important thing is the level of help and support and options and opportunity that you have provided for a ton of other people is amazing. And Ian and I were talking about that, I don't know, last week when we talked, or a couple of weeks ago, how cool it is to watch each other grow as people, but also as we grow as people to see what we've created out of that really authentic version of us.
I appreciate that. It's funny because we had Jamie Gruber on a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about that ride up to Montreal with me, you, and him.
Yeah.
So for all the listeners that want to make a huge pivot in your life, you just have to take a ride from Boston to Montreal.
Right.
And then in that ride, everything changes. There's something once you cross the border, there's like a magical portal.
No, it's sitting in the passenger seat with Mike driving. That's the key.
Like,
Mike,
you're like, please God, if I survive this drive, I promise you I'll make some massive changes in my life.
The whole time I'm like, Mike, pull over. There's an airport. Let's go rent a plane. I'll fly us around. And Mike's like, are you crazy? We're not doing that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Nope.
But anywho, I want to talk about some of the stuff that you got going on now, which is super exciting. Because again, you've done a lot of different niches within real estate. between the single families and flipping and owning a brokerage and doing commercial and multifamily and office and a bunch of different things. Now, selfishly, I'm excited because we were talking offline. You're doing a hotel deal, which is super fun. So tell us about that and how that came to be.
Well, I'm just marking it down in the universe right now. We're going to do this hotel deal. This is going to be a cove down at St. Martin. Just FYI, audience, let's hold Mike accountable to that. So, yeah, dude, I am very curious about how things work because I have an engineer's brain and a salesperson's body or mindset, I guess. And so I'm very curious as to how things work. And so I like the fractional COO and CEO role because I get to go into other businesses, help them see how they work, experience other people, and then I get to get out if I want to. And it's kind of nice for me. I really found a great niche there. And I get to really, involve the 8,000 hours of personal development coaching that I've done into the people of that business. And I think that combination is really like spot on. So again, couldn't escape real estate. It's an expertise. So like, how are you going to just leave that behind, And when I stopped blaming real estate for all my problems, I realized how much I loved real estate. And so I've been just, I like you had asked me this, and I think this might be like the question you guys end with, but the way that I invest and the way that I choose businesses to work with is if I'm going to have fun. Am I going to enjoy myself? Am I going to have fun going to that place where that property is? Like, it's as simple as that. So there's a bunch of franchise businesses that I have, like a spray foam business called Spray Foam Genie out in Iowa. And that's doing really well. It's about 10 months old at this point, and we're going to be sailing into 7 figures next month, which is awesome. And a couple other like real estate teams that I run around the country, some CPA stuff like firms, lawyer firms, restaurants that I just kind of have a little piece in where I'm operating, or I'm like running the operations team. But the one that I'm really passionate about are the 2 big real estate entities that I'm a part of. So in St. Martin, which I don't want to give away all my secrets, man. I know this is called STR Secrets, but I don't want to give away all my secrets. I'm just kidding. St. Martin is such a cool place. And the reason why I'm investing there and why I have a brokerage there is because I like it. And I want to go there when I travel. I want to go there and I want to have business there because I like business stuff. So we have a brokerage on St. Martin called Easy St. Martin, EASYSXM.com, literally. Easy St. Martin. And we do literally everything you can imagine. Our ground operation there is fantastic. We have the sales team, long-term rental team, property management, project management, concierge service, car rental, boat rental, like you name it, we take care of it down on the island. And we do a ton of investor stuff for investors that didn't really realize that investing outside of the US or outside of Canada or Europe was a possibility. And when you see the returns down there, it's a very easy pivot. And when you learn about the tax stuff and all the intricacies, it's a very easy pivot. A lot of opportunity, a lot of options, returns are better. Like, it's just a cool island. And the infrastructure is great. And there's a lot of stuff we could talk about there. The other entity that we have is in Branson, Missouri and Tulsa, Oklahoma, called Victory Properties. And that's all STR stuff. And it's really like lake resorts, bigger houses, smaller like cabins, things like that in those areas. And like Tulsa areas like Aspen Creek, Broken Arrow, like just popular places. And so I'm a partner in Victory Properties. And that's where our main property management for like all of the entities and all of the clients runs out of. We have a really great team there. I have incredible partners that just love what they do. And I introduced them to the island, and now we're rocking and rolling down there. So my partner on the ground down in St. Martin is incredible girl, Victoria. She's lived there for a long time, speaks 5 languages. She's just incredible at what she does. And so the team is crucially important, as you know, Mike, like the team is crucially important. And I think for a long time, I've been looking for the right people to partner with. And I think the old version of me was partnering with a lot of the wrong people, and it just wasn't serving me very well. And it actually bit me real hard. I've had a lot of huge failures in real estate, a lot of successes, but a lot of failures too, because of my choices. So We're doing a lot of arbitrage down in St. Martin, which is not easy because you got to have a crew, you got to have a team. Like it's very difficult, but once you have it, you're good. And dude, we're just having fun, man. Like we're just having so much fun. Like I could talk about this for hours, but like I'm just trying to keep it on focus on topic. We're just having a lot of fun. Like you get to go down to a Caribbean island where your business is and you're making money and people are happy all the time and it's a year-round destination and like I don't know, it's just fun.
And what's this hotel? I want to hear the hotel.
So well it's nothing now. I mean it's just under contract. I need the big guns to step in here and freaking help me. The hotel is 18 unit on cliffside overlooking the ocean, freaking gorgeous. It needs a renovation. I think we can take it to 22 units or 24 units. There's a house next door which we could turn into a luxury 4 or 5 bedroom, and or like it could be a caretaker's house or it could be like the manager's house or something, or we could split it into little units, whatever. And like I said, we worked a deal with the resort down the street because I was thinking about like, well, you got to put a pool in this thing and it's cliffside, so we got to underpin and there's a ton of engineering. Like, I don't want to do that, but I want people to have access. So we worked a deal with a resort like right like 100 feet down the street to give all of our guests passes to use the beach, the health club, the restaurants, like all the amenities on the resort. And we take care of that. So obviously it cuts into the profit a little bit, but our guests are really happy because they get the best of all worlds. And it's a very private resort because there's nothing in the back. It just faces ocean and this beautiful cove. So this is a new world for me, the boutique hotels. And I've been following you for a while, but like this is a whole new world, especially with it being outside of the US. So I know the arbitrage game pretty well. I know the condos and villas. That's pretty much what we specialize in down in St. Martin, but the hotel game a little bit different. So you
See, this
tell
is
me
what
what
happens. Like I tell people, you become the average of 5 people. You got a little behind the scenes tour of our latest project, and next thing you know, you're putting hotels under contract.
Yeah, dude, look, I put this wallpaper up because of you. Just kidding. No, it was here. It was here. Maybe Mike copied off of me with all those theme rooms. No, dude, I when I saw the Salem hotel, I was like, dude, that's amazing. And no joke, Mike, 6 weeks later, this hotel deal came off market. And the owner was like, hey, listen, we'll work with you, like whatever you want. I was like, dude, I don't know anything about that, but I know people that do, and let's research. And so we're moving to that. We've got a couple development projects for some hotels on the beach. Like try and buy beachfront property to put a boutique hotel up on a Caribbean island. We've got 2 off-market deals right now because of the relationships we have and just the integrity that we have to do great business down there. My partner scored these really great deals, much more expensive when you're on the beach versus on a cliff overlooking the ocean. But I like that because like all the reasons you like it, like there's just pride and ownership. It's fun. There's a lot of turn. There's a lot of people you can make happy. It's a very unique product. The average person that's even in the STR or MTR world, they're not entering that space. So you're not going to be competing with 50 bids for a little boutique hotel. It's just not going to happen because the average big guy doesn't want it because it's too small, and the average small guy doesn't know how to take it on because it's too much money or it's just too many unknowns. So look, I told you I'm a huge risk taker, and obviously calculated risk, and I'm very structured and very organized. But I just want to do it, man. I want to own a hotel in St. Martin and like have some fun with it.
See, to me, this is like a tangible example because everybody hears that like you become who you hang out with, or you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? This is an example of maybe prior to coming and hanging out with me and checking out the hotel, this deal may have still come into your lap, but you're like, no, I don't do hotels. That's not my wheelhouse. And you just pass on it. Right. So that's what I mean. When you're around people that are doing stuff, it just starts to expand your thinking and it opens up more doors for opportunities that you would not have taken on without those people in your corner.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
I also think though, over time, the other thing that has changed quite a bit with Ian, with you, with me, is just the fact that you start building up your confidence. So whereas before you're like, I only do this because that's all I know how to do. Now Ian and us are very much more in a place of like, okay, what do I have? I have a hammer. Perfect. We need that hammer for where we're going. What you got? We got nails. Perfect. What about you? I got a saw, and you're like, okay, perfect. And then you start seeing around you, like, okay, this is what I
Yeah.
bring to the table.
Yeah.
Can you guys use it? And you're like, yeah, I can use that. And you're like, okay, perfect. Now what? Right? Whereas before you're like, I don't know. I don't know what to do here. Whereas over time you build the confidence. That's one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because I'm like, you talk about Victoria quite a bit. I haven't had the pleasure to meet her. I did find the email introduction in my spam, so I will respond to you guys after
Good.
this. But the question is, how do you find good partners, right? Because I think a lot of people now maybe are coming from a separate life or a past life where they're like, dude, I have all these skills and I know I have these skills. I just don't know how to do this specific part. So, for example, I don't know how to find boots on the ground in St. Martin, St. Lucia. Like, let's say people are like, I want to own something there. So, what are some of the things that you can tell our listeners, being like, okay, this is how Ian has over time figured out to the best of his abilities how to pick partners, how to vet partners, and how to create partnerships where you are just doing what you love and what gets you excited, because that's one thing that is for me is very clear now in how you live in your life.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you have your hands in,
Yep.
you're excited. You're excited about the thing you're in, you're excited about your role in it, you're excited about your part in it. So then when you have to do stuff for the different businesses, there's still things that are exciting to you. So they're not as heavy. Because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people start doing businesses with people and they don't have clear responsibilities. And what drains life out of businesses, in my experiences, is when people start doing things that don't belong to them or they don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And then it creates that, like, "Ugh, I have to do this, right?" So
Yeah.
kind of walk us through that.
Sure. Dude, you're talking about a get to versus have to mindset and mentality. And I think I have to get up and put a suit on every day and go sell real estate so I can pay for these, stupid things that I'm bringing into my life because it makes me feel better during the time that I'm not selling real estate. And so, with that said, the question that you asked about the partnerships, it's twofold. One, you got to trial and error. You got to go partner with people and just take the risk and find out how people tick, because the partner that you are buddies with and that go hang out with on the weekends, it gets very different when you're seeing them every day and you're brushing your teeth next to each other, just like in a relationship. Everything's awesome and it's this big fantasy world you live in until you guys are like 6 months in and you're brushing your teeth next to each other and you're like, God, that's so annoying how you spit in the sink. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, you start seeing things in people that you didn't see before because you weren't that deep. And so you got to just go, hey, you want to partner up on this deal? Yeah. And just go see how they work. And you start to gauge. And what I did was I started mapping out a dating profile. And I have this as one of the exercises in my coaching business. And it's not a dating profile in the traditional sense, but it's an understanding in a logical format of what it is that you're looking for and the standards that you have for yourself and the partner that you want to attract into your life. And I started cataloging that. And so what's interesting is you can do that for a car, you can do that for a romantic relationship, a house, a deal. The reason why you do a dating profile is because in a logical mindset and mind frame, you get to put all the things that are your standard. So when you get emotional and you get all jacked up and happy and giddy at this new puppy syndrome, like, oh, this partnership's going to be amazing, and you get like the love sickness, well, you can look at the dating profile that you created in a logical mindset and you can make choices in an emotional mindset because you know what you want, because it was clear and you were calm and you were focused. The other side of that is you've got to understand who you are. And I know that's going to be big for most people, but the more personal growth you go through, the more you can move through your stuff and to the other side of what I call the dark woods. You stop going around in this like vicious cycle, which I call comfort land. And you start moving into the dark woods and you get a coach and you get guys like you guys to guide you through stuff and you're not as afraid. You'll pick up information, skills, habits so exponentially that you'll learn so much faster. And so you got to be really focused on your growth so you can attract in the right type of partners. Could the three of us have done business together in 2017? No way. I mean, we could have. Actually, we might have. I think we did, didn't we? We tried to buy like a shopping center or apartment building or something, and like way back when.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is not going to work.
And how did
No.
that go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
We're
what
just a
happened with
bunch
that.
of guys getting super. No, we just got super jacked up on calls and then nothing would get
Right.
done.
Right. And it was surface level motivation. And there was nobody who was taking like, oh, I'll handle this and I'll handle this and I'll handle this. So again, like as you go through partnerships, you realize that just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should or have to do it. So like I'm great at sales. I don't want to do that. That's not where my love is, and that's not where I get jazzed or like really charged. I like operations. I like people. I like the HR stuff. I like that stuff. And so, I mean, that's really it. The more you can focus on growing yourself and finding out who you really are authentically, and then you start to align with that real irreplaceable self, and you'll start to align with other really great people who are going after the same thing for themselves. And then the business stuff will just be a bonus. It'll come along for the ride, which is awesome. So that's what I recommend. Keep it really short. Go out and test it and work on you.
Love it, man.
Well, we're getting
Yeah.
short on time, so I wanna put a bow on some things, but real quick, I want you to talk about what we were talking offline about. And for the listeners that are listening to the show, you should watch the episode on YouTube. But I was busting Ian's chops. I'm like, where are you working right now? Because he's got this blue dolphin background with blue LEDs. And tell him what you told me, because I thought this was genius.
Um, yeah. So by the way, this is the power of a mastermind. If you haven't read Napoleon Hill, isn't like rhetoric. You should read Napoleon Hill stuff. 3 Feet from Gold, Think and Grow Rich, just good stuff. This is a little mastermind. So anyway, I want to be the best dad possible. And like I said earlier, I measure everything. And so being the best dad it's not quantifiable. It's not measurable, but I needed to find quantifiable metrics to being the better dad or the best dad I can be. So I wanted to know that I'm not wasting any time with my children who are growing up very fast. Like your son and my daughter are the same age. And my son is 4, my daughter is 8. And yesterday they were babies. And so as we're going through these new transitions and phases of life, like I didn't want to waste any time with them. So I take them to school every day. I pick them up every day most days. And when I get home, like I didn't want to go over on this side to my office and they go into their rooms. So I asked them if I could move my desk and my studio setup into their room so I could be with them for that extra 5 or 10 minutes that, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year really adds up to just more and more focused quality time where we're just sitting here chilling. Like I could be on a podcast. My daughter's maybe on her iPad or reading a book or doing some artwork. And all I have to do is spin my chair and I'm looking at them. And I don't have to get up and do anything. I can be instantly in action and in something with them in their world. And so I've been in here for almost a year and I love it. Like, my daughter might kick me out if she like wants to get changed or something, but that's only pretty much brand new. But it's nice. It's really nice. I mean, I spend a lot of time in here, but I've made it a really comfortable environment for all of us. And I think they enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it. So look, I encourage people, like I said earlier, it's not acquisition that makes you grow. It's actually elimination of the things that no longer serve you. But it's also understanding the power of time. And if your time and your energy are actually going to the most appropriate things that you say you want, but you somehow don't find time for. I want to spend more time with my kids, but I'm so busy. Well, freaking make time. Like make it work. Make time. And people are like, well, you're 41 and your office is in your kid's bedroom next to their bunk beds. Hell yeah, it is. Because I want to be the best dad possible. And I want my kids to be growing up right around me as I'm growing my business. I'm growing myself and I'm helping these clients. Talk about the 5 people. What do you think my kids absorb when they hear me on coaching calls and podcasts all day long? They're absorbing that stuff. Subconsciously, they're absorbing that type of positive programming and language and skills. And hopefully it hopefully it does something great to them or for them.
I can see Ella doing a little coaching session in her like little school. Like, there's gonna be a
Yeah.
like, middle school mindset coach running through things. And it's funny because I don't have too much time, but one of the questions that I love asking is like how you cultivate balance in your life. And in a very funny way, when it comes to families, and I'm the person out of the 3 of us that doesn't have kids, doesn't have any prospects anytime soon of having kids. So it's very, I respect it a lot and I love it quite a bit. The idea, because I know like if I think back to little E when I was a kid, I would have loved that, right? Like I remember my dad, we had like a loft at our house, and my dad had this office on the loft, and you could always see him. And when the house was dark, he had his little light on the computer, and he had an old computer, so you could hear the clacking of the keyboards.
Yeah.
And that was my dad. The memory of my dad that I had was this man in this like high area where I couldn't get to, that you desperately wanted to as a child, right? And so like seeing that for you and seeing how you cultivated it in a very unique way, I love it.
Balance is about non-negotiables. Mike, I know you do this. Like when I say I'm done at 5, I'm done at 5. There is no, but I got $100,000 prospect, but I gotta. I don't start till 9:30. I don't go past 5. Now there are some international clients that need me after 5, like sometimes 6, 7 o'clock, who are in Japan or in Guam or that side of the world in New Zealand. And so I will sit down with my kids and my wife and say, hey, on Tuesdays for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to need to take this call at 6. They're requesting that. You guys cool with that? And I get their permission, because what kind of dad am I and what kind of example am I if I make a commitment and I'm just breaking it all the time? My kids learn that. So I get their permission to get another agreement in place. So the agreement is don't work past 5. And that comes with a lot of leverage and a lot of that comes with a lot of systems and processes. And I run 15 different businesses plus my coaching business. And I'm not busy. Like I'm not that busy because I'm very obsessed with leverage and systems. But you have to have a non-negotiable. You have to trust yourself first, and you got to make yourself a priority. And if you say, I'm not going to start before 9:30 and I'm not going to, go past 5, then you got to hold that again, or you're just eroding reliability trust in yourself. And then you're no good to anybody else.
Well, before we get to the last question, I want to thank you again for coming on. Always love chatting, and it always turns into a mini mastermind session, as you say.
It does.
Where can folks learn more about you, connect with you, learn about all the good stuff that you have going on?
Yeah. By the time this comes out, I'll have a new website up, irreplaceableleader.com. Irreplaceableleader.com. Literally, you'll find anything. My socials, my speaking stuff, my coaching stuff. No real estate stuff on there. Real estate stuff is easysxm.com, or it's staywithvictory.com for the other properties. Or you just find me on social. My name, Ian Lobos. Super easy.
Perfect. So the last question we ask all of our guests is, what is your number one secret to success in real estate? We'll cap it in real estate. Usually go short-term rentals, but I want to go broader for you.
I think in life, it's my real success happened when I stopped worrying about what other people were thinking about me. And I stopped worrying about what other people were saying about me or what I looked like to other people. And I really started thinking about how I was presenting myself and what I was getting into, because the people that I was worried about, what they thought about me, I really shouldn't have been in business or around them anyway. And now I actually care what people think about me in a really positive and purposeful way. Like what you guys, like, I'm going to show up here on time and I'm going to have my mic ready and my lighting good. Like, I care about what people think because it's a reflection on me and who I am. And I think that's literally the secret. When you stop caring about what other people think or say or feel about you, I think you're free to just, like, look at a 3-year-old. You can run around naked. They could care less. And I want that mentality, not to run around naked, but I want that mentality of just not caring and just
Maybe in
having
that
this
new
focus.
hotel, we'll all be naked.
Right, man. Yes. So I think that's probably, I mean, there's a lot of other stuff. We could go on 2 more hours. I can give a lot of secrets, but find something that you love. Don't just follow the crowd. Don't just follow the crowd into multifamily or sales or flipping because that's the popular thing or that's what all your buddies are doing. Go where you want to go. Blaze your own trail. Like, I like short-term rentals. I like the Caribbean. It's scary. It's intimidating. It's much harder. And I have fun with it and I enjoy it. And so the work doesn't really feel like work. It's fun.
Love it. Well, yeah. Mr. Ian Lobos, that was an episode right there, buddy. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you as always. And listeners out there, hope you enjoyed this one. Again, you may want to watch this one on YouTube. Check out Ian's background in the kids' room. But that's it for this week, everybody. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, STR Nation, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. And in the comments, let us know what topics you want us to cover on upcoming episodes, and we'll make sure to get that in the books for you. And if you really want to learn how to launch, automate, and scale your short-term rental business, if you want to go deeper, then check out our free masterclass at strsecrets.com.